Hi, I'm AC Strange, and this is the Bad Movie Show, episode 27, the Basket Case Special. So yeah, Basket Case. I love movies that are over the top and outrageous, and you can't get more over the top, outrageous, or underrated than the Basket Case movies. So I'm going to give them to you tonight. I'm going to give them to you in order, and I'm also going to give you some spoilers, because each of them, it starts off where the other one left off. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the other movie, but if you haven't seen them yet, put them on your list and see them. But if you want to find out about them, stay tuned. Let's get started, shall we? First up, Basket Case, unrated 1981, a Something Weird video. Written and directed by Frank Henenlotter, starring Kevin Van Hentrick, Terry Susan Smith, and Beverly Banner. In this, Dwayne Bradley is a very nice, quiet, kind of strange guy who arrives in New York City by himself with a big old basket, and he checks into a sleazy motel with a whole bunch of people who want to know what's in the basket. In the basket is Dwayne's brother, his formerly conjoined brother, who is mutated and basically a blobby bubblegum monster with teeth that he keeps in the basket. And they arrive in New York to exact revenge on the doctors who separated them when they were young without their consent. Okay? Dwayne meets a girl named Sharon and flirts with the idea of, starting a normal life after they killed the doctors. But when your brother is a blobby, gnarly, sharp-toothed, bubble-gum monster thing that peels off faces with his teeth and talks to you telepathically, normal is not an option. So this movie is crazy. There's lots of screaming. It's bloody. It's gnarly. It's just over the top and freaking great. Okay? My mother-in-law loved it. So awesome. I'm going to give this a 4.5, and this is fried gold freakiness. This movie is great and worth seeing if you haven't seen it yet. Most people I know have seen it, and most people I know love it. I still think it's underrated because it's just, a great and unusual use of puppets. So next up we have Basket Case 2, rated R, 1990, Synapse Films. Written and directed by Frank Henenlotter, starring Kevin Van Hentrick and Annie Ross. So after Dwayne and Belial fall 4 stories and are taken to the hospital and are all over the news, they are contacted by Granny Ruth, who was a friend of their aunt's, and she gets them and takes them to her house in Staten Island. Granny Ruth, aka Dr. Freak, and her granddaughter Susan, they take them home where they house other unique individuals like Belial. There is a guy with an abnormally sized head and an underdeveloped body with a beautiful singing voice. Another guy with like a dozen noses on his face. Another guy with like really overgrown teeth. I mean, teeth down to here. It's crazy. There's dozens of these freaks that live in this house with Dr. Freak. And Belial finds that happiness for the first time. He meets Eva, who is another bubblegum blobby creature like Belial, and they fall madly in love. Dwayne decides to start his life over and, leave, start a normal life for himself. And a nosy reporter finds Dwayne at Dr. Freak's house and threatens to expose them. So Dwayne, Dr. Freak, and all the other freaks decide to fight to save their home and their family. This is over the top crazy. We get to see these freaks up close, which is great. I happen to love special effects makeup, and this is over the top and just done really well. The thing with movies like this, when they have mutated freaks, we see them for a little while, but in this movie we really get to look at them, which is great. My favorite part is when there is like a private detective that gets in touch with Dwayne, and they try to meet in a public place, and the guy thinks he's safe, but in the restaurant there's all these freaks wearing people masks. I happen to really like this movie. I'm going to give it a 4 and a see it, but I do recommend that you buy these because this is a great, addition to your freaky collection. Last but not least, I have Basket Case 3, The Progeny, rated R, 1991, Synapse Films, written by Frank Henenlotter and Robert Martin, who did Frankenhooker together, and directed by Frank Henenlotter, starring Kevin Van Hentrick. You think I would get this right by the third time, right? And Annie Roth. In this, it starts where the other one left off. We have Eve and Belial making love. Dwayne accidentally kills Susan and goes crazy, grabs Belial and tries to reattach him. The family is not happy, and then we see them again, and they're separated, and Dwayne is in a straitjacket in a padded room, and Granny Ruth goes to him and tells him that he's about to be an uncle. And they're all going to go on a road trip in a school bus that says, "No one you know," and go down to Georgia to Granny Ruth's friend, Uncle Hal, who is a doctor and the only person that she would allow to help with a birth like this. So they all take this road trip down to Uncle Hal's, and we meet him and little Hal, who is Granny Ruth's gigantic son with about a dozen arms, who's a genius and likes to build things. And while there, Dwayne tries to escape, and the deputies and the sheriff's daughter figure out who he is. And after the birth of Belial's dozen bubblegum freaky with teeth babies all attached, Dwayne tries to leave. They catch him and they try to turn him in for $1 million reward, and when the deputies go to get Belial, they take his babies instead. Granny Ruth, Belial, the whole family, and even a jailed Dwayne band together to get the babies back. Okay? Little Hal builds Belial what looks like a recycled RoboCop killer suit that has all these nasty gadgets on it, and when Belial gets to his babies, he does it hands-on. Okay? This is over the top and outrageous. If you thought the other two were crazy, this one's just over the top, just more freaks and lots of growling and blood and just crazy kills. I'm going to give this a 3.5. I liked it a lot. There's even a musical number on the bus. So yeah, I'm going to give this a 3.5, and I buy these. These are worth it. They're great. Over the top freakiness. So what did you think about tonight's show? Which one was your favorite? Mine was 2. I really, really like the freaks. And I like that we got up close to them. And I happen to like Annie Roth a lot. She killed it as Dr. Freak. So that's it for me tonight. Please remember to watch more movies. And I'm AC Strange, and this is a Bad Movie Show. Thank you. Good night.